The story of Lazarus being raised from the dead is one of the most emotional, powerful, and hope-filled miracles in the Bible. It is a story about love, grief, faith, and the overwhelming power of Jesus over death itself. More than just a miracle, it became a moment that revealed who Jesus truly was, not only a healer, teacher, or prophet, but the resurrection and the life. The story begins in the quiet village of Bethany, a small town near Jerusalem. There lived three siblings who were deeply loved by Jesus: Martha, Mary, and their brother Lazarus. Jesus often visited their home. Martha was known for her service and hospitality. Mary was known for her devotion and worship. Lazarus was their beloved brother and close friend of Jesus. Their home was a place of warmth, friendship, and peace. But one day, sorrow entered the house. Lazarus became seriously ill. At first, perhaps the sisters hoped he would recover. But as his condition worsened, fear began growing in their hearts. Desperate and worried, they sent a message to Jesus. "Lord, the one you love is sick." Those words carried both urgency and faith. They believed Jesus could help. They had seen him heal the blind, cleanse lepers, and restore the broken. Surely he would come quickly for someone he loved so deeply. When Jesus received the message, he said something mysterious. "This sickness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Yet surprisingly, Jesus did not leave immediately. Instead, he remained where he was for 2 more days. This delay must have seemed painful and confusing. Why would Jesus wait? Why would he not rush to save his friend? Often, this part of the story mirrors human experience. People pray. They cry out. They wait. And sometimes God's timing feels slower than expected. Yet the story reveals an important truth. A delay from God is not abandonment. Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus deeply. His waiting was not indifference, it was part of a greater purpose they could not yet understand. Meanwhile, Lazarus grew weaker. Eventually, death came. The house in Bethany became filled with mourning. Family, friends, and neighbors gathered to comfort the sisters. Tears filled the rooms that once echoed with joy. Lazarus was placed inside a tomb carved from rock, and a heavy stone sealed the entrance. 4 long days passed. By then, all hope seemed gone. Then Jesus finally began traveling toward Bethany with his disciples. As they approached, Martha heard he was coming and hurried out to meet him. Imagine the emotion in her voice when she said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Her words carried both faith and heartbreak. She still believed in Jesus, yet she could not understand why he had not come sooner. Jesus answered gently, "Your brother will rise again." Martha thought he meant the future resurrection at the end of time. Then Jesus spoke one of the most powerful declarations in all Scripture. "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live, even though they die." These words transformed the meaning of the moment. Jesus was not merely speaking about resurrection as an event. He himself was the source of life. Martha responded with faith. "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God." Then Martha returned and quietly told Mary that Jesus was asking for her. Mary rose quickly and went to him. The mourners followed behind her, assuming she was going to the tomb to grieve. When Mary reached Jesus, she fell at his feet weeping. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." The sorrow surrounding Jesus was overwhelming. Mary wept. The mourners wept. Grief filled the air. Then something remarkable happened. The Bible says Jesus was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. And then comes the shortest verse in Scripture. Jesus wept. Though simple, these words reveal profound beauty. Jesus knew he would raise Lazarus moments later. He knew death would not have the final word. Yet he still wept. Why? Because Jesus entered into human sorrow personally. He was not distant from pain. He was not cold toward grief. He stood beside broken hearts and shared their tears. This moment reveals the compassion of Christ more deeply than almost any other story. God is not indifferent to human suffering. He sees every tear. He understands every loss. He grieves alongside humanity. The people watching were moved. "See how he loved him," they whispered. Others questioned. "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus approached the tomb. It was a cave sealed with a heavy stone. "Take away the stone," Jesus commanded. Martha hesitated. "Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Death had fully taken hold. There was no doubt Lazarus was truly gone. But Jesus answered, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they removed the stone. Imagine the silence. The crowd stood watching. The air felt heavy with expectation and confusion. Then Jesus looked upward and prayed aloud, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." He prayed not because he doubted, but so that people would believe God had sent him. Then Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." And suddenly, the impossible happened. Movement stirred within the darkness of the tomb. Lazarus emerged alive, still wrapped in burial cloths. Gasps filled the air. Fear and amazement swept through the crowd. The man who had been dead for 4 days walked out of the grave. Jesus then said, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." What a moment that must have been. Martha and Mary embracing their brother once more. Mourners transformed into witnesses of a miracle. Hopelessness shattered by the power of Christ. This was no ordinary healing. Jesus had demonstrated authority over death itself. The miracle stunned everyone who witnessed it. Many believed in him because of what they saw. Yet others reported the event to the religious leaders, who became increasingly fearful of Jesus' growing influence. Ironically, the miracle that brought life to Lazarus also accelerated the plans to crucify Jesus. The religious authorities worried that too many people were beginning to follow him. Still, nothing could erase what had happened in Bethany. A dead man had walked out of his tomb. The story of Lazarus carries deep spiritual meaning that reaches far beyond the miracle itself. First, it reveals Jesus' compassion. The Son of God did not stand above human pain untouched. He entered into grief personally. When people suffer loss, sorrow, disappointment, or heartbreak, the story reminds them that Christ understands deeply. He still weeps with those who weep. Second, the story reveals that God's timing is not always human timing. To Martha and Mary, Jesus seemed late. But if Jesus had arrived earlier and merely healed Lazarus, the world would never have witnessed resurrection power so clearly. Sometimes God delays not to deny hope, but to reveal something greater than people can yet imagine. Many people experience moments where situations seem beyond repair. Dreams die. Relationships break. Hope fades. The story of Lazarus reminds humanity that even when circumstances appear impossible, God can still bring life where people see only endings. Third, the story reveals Jesus' authority over death. Death is humanity's greatest fear and greatest enemy. Yet standing before the tomb, Jesus demonstrated that death itself obeys his voice. Lazarus walking from the grave foreshadowed an even greater resurrection yet to come, the resurrection of Jesus himself. In many ways, Lazarus' story points forward toward Easter morning. Jesus would soon face death personally upon the cross. He too would be placed inside a tomb. And he too would rise again. But unlike Lazarus, who would one day die again, Jesus rose permanently, conquering death forever. The story also carries symbolic meaning for spiritual life. Many people walk through life spiritually exhausted, empty, or lost, as though trapped in darkness. Yet Christ still calls people out of spiritual graves into new life. Just as Lazarus heard Jesus' voice and emerged from the tomb, hearts can still awaken through faith today. And perhaps one of the most comforting truths in the story is this: no situation is too hopeless for God. Not after 4 days. Not after tears. Not after disappointment. Not after death. Where humanity sees finality, God still sees possibility. The people in Bethany believed the story was over when the stone sealed the tomb. But Jesus had not yet spoken. And that truth still echoes through every difficult season of life. When hope feels buried. When darkness seems overwhelming. When prayers seem unanswered. The voice of Christ still carries power strong enough to call life out of graves. The story of Lazarus reminds humanity that Jesus is more than a miracle worker. He is the resurrection and the life. And wherever he speaks, death does not get the final word.